has been going. There's an ultimatum that was declared by Raila Odinga sometime last week, a 14-day ultimatum. It's now about 9 days to that. He wants several things done, including lowering the cost of living, opening the IEBC servers, reducing what he says, reducing taxes in the country, and so much more. But yesterday, there's a conversation that was going on. There is now claim that there are plans to block their foreign travels out of the country. Watch.
Fujo, asikubaliwe kuzuru kwenda katika nchi zingine ng'ambo. Wewe hana haja ya kuja. Wewe hana haja ya kuja. Kaeni hiyo kae. Tunatengeneza mambo yetu ya Kenya. Kwa hivyo mimi nataka kuambia hawa watu hawa waoga. Msiri hakuna mtu asaidia mtu yote. Nyinyi mmeiba kura.
Hawa wazungu unaenda kuuliza wasiruhusu twende kule. Sisi hatuna haja na Ulaya. Waite wakusimamie tupungue saba. Sababu tuko na uhakika kura zetu ziko.
First of all, Honorable Kelo, who said that there are plans to block some of the Azimio leaders from traveling out of the country?
Well, it was reported in one of the newspapers over the weekend that Kenya Kwanza is intending to write letters to foreign bodies to stop Baba from traveling to those countries as a way of sanction because of what he is doing around the country in the name of public barazas. So that is where that issue has come from. And members of parliament, actually aligned to them, came out to say that that is what is in the process. So I don't know whether they have already written those letters or now we have scared them that they are not going to write them. But be it as it may, I remember Martha Karua, our deputy president designate, in Azimio, once said, at one point she was also barred from going to America. I think when she was serving as a cabinet minister in President Kibaki's government. Well, she said, you know, America is not heaven. We're going to stay here in our country. But what if what we are doing around the country by engaging with the public amounts to a sanction by the Western powers, something that is so constitutional, because we have, under Bill of Rights, a right to associate with our people, a right to move around and dialogue. So that is very constitutional. So I don't know how foreign powers would get into a country and try to torpedo what is having a constitutional standing. Unless they have panicked so much that they now have to run to their masters, who probably helped them during elections at Bomas of Kenya and are now coming back to say, please, Baba has really tightened the noose ends and therefore come to our rescue, stop him from coming to America. As if Baba has a pending business in America. He has not indicated, at least in the foreseeable future, any engagement that he has within the United States of America or London, in the UK for that matter. Baba has not called anybody to take up arms, because when it reaches a stage where those public barazas have a connotation of insecurity, then they would be justified to go and write those letters. But all the public rallies that we have conducted, 14 in number as at yesterday, not even a single one has had any issues. The issue that came about was in Kisii a day after we had left Kisii, that some youths engaged each other and charged at each other. So we have had a very peaceful engagement with the Kenyan people, unless Kenya Kwanza is now planning to wreak havoc in our campaign barazas. Now, Sam, it is also good to underscore one thing, that if you read Article 37 of our Constitution, it gives us an opportunity to picket and to demonstrate peaceably and to present petitions before any public authority. After 9 days, we are taking a petition at the doorstep of William Samoei Ruto, a petition which is enshrined in law. And therefore, there's nothing unconstitutional there. So
Which doorstep, Harambee House or State House?
Well, the guy never goes to Harambee House, so we know where he is. We know where he works from. We know where he stays.
You booked an appointment?
There's no need for appointment anywhere in law. When a public, and you know, we receive petitions in Parliament every day, petitions. They never book any appointment with us. They just bring those petitions and we receive them.
So
and
how
indeed,
are you planning to do that?
We just walk to State House and give our petition and go back home. It's very simple, just the same way it is done in Parliament.
So you'll be petitioning who?
We shall be petitioning William Samoei Ruto to bring down the cost of living.
In what capacity? I thought Azimio said they don't recognize he's the president.
Well, he's the one who has come up with these raft measures, removing subsidies. It was done by him. So we are taking the petition to him as the person who removed those subsidies to bring them back. All right? And we know where he stays. Anyhow, if it is a matter of our elections...
So you're going to march to State House?
Not march, we just walk. Some will run, some will walk. We are going to walk to State House, leave our petition and go back home peacefully. Because that is what the Constitution envisaged, that the assembly has to be peaceful.
You know it's a protected area?
Well, Parliament is equally protected, but we receive petitions every day.
No, I'm asking the practicality of doing that, because I don't think it's just you who will be there. You'll also go with members of people from your support base.
Whoever will have time, including you, Sam, if you have, please come and join us, because every Kenyan is suffering. Now, let us not look at this tiny process, a 30-minute walk from wherever to State House. That is not the most important thing. The most important thing here is how do we dialogue to bring down the cost of living? There has been a recommendation, Sam, that universities that have been paying 16,000 shillings a year are now going to pay 55,000 shillings. These are things that we need to talk about. So let's not talk about the 30-minute walk, which looks to be more important to Kenya Kwanza than the petition that we are going to take at the doorstep of President William Ruto. Okay. So let them wait for our petition. But this is what I wanted to say, Sam. Letters they can write to whoever. They can write some to America, Europe, wherever. But what they need to understand is that even as we still struggle with our electoral processes here, and we are gearing towards electoral purity by coming up with an IBC that is reflective of the wishes of
Jared Okello, I hear you. We'll
I just wanted to say that America is also struggling with the elections of 2020.
Your colleagues are waiting to...
Up to now, Department of Justice in America is looking at the records around President Trump.
Jared, now you've gone to America. Let's first of all finish...
That's where they have written their letters.
Stay in Kenya. And Honorable...
Stay in Kenya? That's a good one. Stay in Kenya.
Just hold on. Let's listen to what the president said in as far as the ultimatum from Azimio is concerned.
Wanataka kututisha na maandamano. Watafanya maandamano mpaka watachoka. Kwa sababu tunawaambia hatuwezi kukubali na wasituuzie uoga. Sisi sio watu wa kuuzia uoga. Tunaelewana? Kila Mkenya ako na haki katika taifa letu la Kenya. Tunaelewana watu wa Gorogosho na watu wa hapa Ruaraka?
Okay, so he's talking about Mstuzie Uoga. First of all, you're the chair of Defense and Foreign Relations. Are you aware of any letters being written or any aspirations to bar some of these leaders from traveling? And also, what's your take on what Honorable Okello is saying about their plans in those 14 days?
Sam, I'm not aware of any plans to talk to have Raila not allowed to travel in any part of the world. I don't find, I've not heard of any such plan, and it's not a threat to us. He can travel wherever he is. However, there are countries, I mean, we live in a global society. Sometimes nations who have interest in Kenya and who want to place order, global order, sometimes if there are individuals who they feel there are an instability to such order, it is not unusual to have them sanctioned. If they feel so, then that is up to them. No one has requested, but probably because of the affront of an administration. You know, this is very consistent. with Raila Odinga. And it's nothing new. You know, these threats that Jared is throwing here in the studio is meant for, you know, to place him somewhere with his voters, but has nothing to do with our administration. Like the president has said, the president and the deputy president, this is those administrations that you can dare. If we survive Uhuru, we'll survive anything. So we are not one of those things that, oh, you know, we will walk to State House, we will do this. You do what you can. Let me tell you, what these people have been looking for is a confrontation. We've avoided it. They want a confrontation because they cannot thrive. And even the way they're increasing their, what they call public participation and rallies, it used to be once a week. Now it is becoming twice a week, 3 times a week. Some adapt prayers. They never believed in prayers in the first place.
How do you know that?
I know, because they never believed in it. They used to mock us when we used to pray. You don't remember what they used to say about prayers and all these things. Even now when they pray, you can see they are not praying. They're in charge to do politics. Look at how they're dressed. How do you go to church to speak about some dawa ya nyoka, I don't know what they call it, in a church function, or speak about tingiza miti? Is that what you do in churches? Church is a sacred place where you go and pray. You dress properly. You know you're going to speak to your Creator. You just don't walk to church in some open shoes and sandals and jeans. Anyway, save for another day. So let me tell you, I will speak to this, Sam.
Are you going to come up with a dress
this
for
administration,
church?
the Kenya Kwanza administration, is not an administration to threaten or blackmail. This is an administration that will not cede an inch. I've said it here countless times. We will not cede an inch of this government to any person, not even to Raila Odinga. We know what he's trying to do is to create instability. To create instability, to create room for negotiations on a table, to create room for him again to get into a form of handshake. He's denying it, but these guys know what they are doing. I mean, these are my colleagues we speak in Parliament. I will tell you, this administration is not interested in serving the person of Raila Odinga anymore. Let this administration serve every Kenyan. It is an opportunity for every Kenyan now. He's talking about subsidies. When you talk about subsidies, the president has said we are removing subsidies. We cannot permanently be financing and injecting capital on consumption. The president is saying for the first time, let us inject capital on productivity. So that, those results you cannot achieve today. We are yet to get into a planting season. Fertilizer is being subsidized. Maize, for some of us who are farmers, we know what is happening. There has been an elaborate plan by the government to give out fertilizer and seeds subsidized, so that at least we increase productivity and sell our produce and increase our production shortly. But what they want to do is to see that productivity in less than 6 months. You keeping in mind that these are the same people who oversaw the Jubilee administration almost sent this country into the dogs. This is the same people Raila Odinga never mentioned when the price of unga went up to 280 shillings, because he was comfortable with Uhuru Kenyatta and his handshake brother. They saw the plunder of our resources. They oversaw the Kamsa theft, kept quiet about every sin of that government because they were comfortable in that government. They have realized that government has gone. Now the same government that has left is using the person of Raila Odinga and Azimio, because in those subsidies is where they made money. The Auditor General herself has flagged.
The government that has left is using...
There are individuals who are in that government who are benefiting from subsidies. Subsidies was a theft. It is a scandal. The Auditor General has flagged it.
Once the government expires, does it still exist?
It doesn't exist, but now they want you know, subsidy is a cartel. There are people who operate in those cartels. They never leave. It is a huge thing. For you to break cartels, it doesn't take 1 person or 2 person or 1 year or 6 months. It is continuous. You've just seen a 1 trillion tax return that is being done, but yet we are in government. So I'm telling you, all these things are meant to benefit individuals who have left, because subsidies in the Auditor General report, 4 billion Kenya shillings cannot be accounted for.
So what are your thoughts about presenting a petition to State House? How would that be done?
There's nothing they present. They present where? They are lying to you. These people you will see, I'll be here, invite me after 9 days to this show. They will never get to State House. It is hyping the emotions. They are hyping their stake. Where? Serikali William Ruto at the State House. To do what? It is the Constitution, it is in law. You cannot, and like you said, it's a protected area. Unless you are daring the officers that, we are here. And I wish to see, this Jared Okello will not be there, I'm telling you. He's just saying it here. Let them, all the leaders, let them be the forefront and let them go to State House and see if they are men and women enough. They cannot dare. This is not an administration that you can play with. We have been punished by the last regime. When Raila Odinga was there, he spoke nothing about it. He cannot tell us anything. And let me tell you, even the things that they are saying, that they are petitioning, IBC, William Ruto has no role in IBC. In selection of IBC, it is constitutional. It is there in law. The process is there in law. It has absolutely nothing to do with William Ruto. The other thing they want to petition is the cost of unga. The cost of unga is coming down. What the president is saying is that we are subsidizing productivity. It will come down. Give us some time. We are just 6 months into government. How do you expect results in less than a year? Mm-hmm. This is something that we are trying to fix. It has come down now to about 128 in some supermarkets, some to 180. Sorry, 180 to 207, to 207 shillings. Mm-hmm. It will come down gradually. It is not something that happens in a day. The other thing that they want to petition us about is what they are saying is they don't recognize our government. So why are you going to State House to recognize who, like you're asking? If you don't recognize this government, that you don't have a president, why don't you take that petition to Raila Odinga if you believe he is your president? Why do you want to take it to William Ruto? Is it not a game of some ping pong, some very petty ping pong that is being played? Let me, as I conclude, Sam, I will say that if you walk into Kenya today, you will be forgiven to believe that Kenya and Nigeria are doing an election. Because it is all hype about an election, hype about everything, yet there are people who have suffered. There are people whose business has suffered because of COVID-19. Then immediately after COVID-19, we went into a general election. We should allow this country and some people who want stability and peace to continue with their work. Those who want to do demonstration and picketing, it is perfectly okay. But they must know that the same constitution that allows you to picket also says that it's that picketing under your right stops when you touch on my right. Okay,
I hear you. Honorable Murio, because all of you are parliamentarians, and yes, Kenyans, like I keep asking every other week, they have certain concerns that they would want addressed, but they feel the institutions that the Constitution has given them are not yielding to that. You would expect that some of those concerns that Honorable Okello is raising here would be addressed in Parliament. Have you tried to address some of those concerns? If it is the cost of living, that people feel that they want the subsidies back and the president is saying no, have you seen any attempt to sort of sort out those concerns in Parliament?
Thank you, Sam. Even a lady needs 9 months after conception to get a baby. Kenya Kwanza government is only there for 6 months. So it has not even come into full term. But the question here, which I think we need to address, what are the mitigating factors is the Kenya Kwanza government putting into place? And as it has been alluded over here, we are coming from a COVID situation to a general election and into a drought situation. But the question is, in those circumstances, what does the Kenya Kwanza government doing? And clearly, number one, what you have done, we have reorganized the government. We organize the government. And of course, there are noise around, organizing the government, setting up the cabinet, setting up the PSAs, and putting the people in place to ensure that what made Kenya Kwanza government be elected, the promises which we made to the people has been realized. That's number one. Number two, we have ensured that we have started mitigating in terms of production. We have said, as a Kenya Kwanza government, we cannot continue subsidizing consumption. We want to subsidize production, because by doing that, you create employment. There is what you call a multiplier effect in terms of subsidizing production. And you are able to grow enough food. Sadly, we inherited an administration whereby unga was going for 230, 280. And true to the word, today, unga now is 170, 180. Something good is happening. We are said we want to bring in fertilizer, subsidized fertilizer, which in the past was about 7,000, 8,000 bob. Right today is about 3,500 bob, to ensure that our farmers are able to grow. We are rolling out almost 100 dams.
Sorry to cut you short, because I have heard that several times, and it is true that there is that fertilizer subsidy program. But you're also aware that there's a challenge in the country at the moment, that the rain-fed agriculture is not doing well. There is a high chance that the fertilizer that was invested will not yield to anything in this current short rain season. And the question I'm asking, because the cost of living does not wait for fertilizer or for farms to produce whatever they're producing, have you seen any attempts at Parliament? I know there's a supplementary budget, and I know there are conversations about budget for the next cycle. Are there any attempts to fix the current challenges in the short term and medium term beyond what you're describing?
You've seen the papers. There's a conversation in the cabinet whereby we...
Parliament.
In the cabinet, yes.
Whereby... Parliament.
Yes, I'm coming there. Whereby it's being muted that we'll need to bring in cheap wheat, cheap maize, cheap beans, to be able to mitigate for the period between now and the time when the crops comes into place. Number two, Parliament, what it's doing currently, is looking at what you call the supplementary budget to be able to take the government from where we are right now all the way to the month of June. And one of the things, and I think that we are very busy in Parliament right now, is to look and find out what are the mitigating factors can we be able to put in place to ensure that the government departments, the government ministries are given enough funding to ensure that we are able to mitigate that element. And that's why the issues of importing cheap food is coming in. Importing cheap fertilizers is coming in. Remember also, the president has muted that we can't rely anymore on rain-fed agriculture. We are going to come up with a green revolution. And the president said we are going to roll out 100 dams across the country to ensure that we no longer rely on the rain, but we more rely on the irrigation to make our production sustainable. Having said that, I want to state that the Azimio side, they are playing their role as oversight. And I want my friend Jared here to encourage him to make sure that they continue making that noise, because the role of the opposition is to keep the sitting government in check.
You just called it noise.
It's good noise. It's good noise, Sam, because if they keep quiet, you know, this opposition kept quiet for 5 years. From 2017 to 2022, they kept quiet. Things went south. When they're making noise, the common man in Kenya, the common person in Kenya benefit. And that's why I say, you make that noise. Where we do wrong, please point it out. But I think we need to call what it is. Raila Amolo Odinga want a handshake. We know very well what you want. But I want to tell you this, Sam, and I think for you to understand, that he pushed a handshake with Moi, he succeeded. He pushed handshakes with Kibaki, he succeeded. He pushed a handshake with Uhuru, he succeeded. But he succeeded because those two former presidents did not understand Raila Amolo Odinga.
Okay.
President Ruto understands Raila Odinga very well. Remember, no, Ruto was a member of ODM.
Moiro, I want to, because you're running out of time, I want to give the final opportunity to Jared Okello here. And I want to take you down the memory lane, or history if you may call it. In 2015, Raila Odinga came back to the country. I think it was in the month of May. And he said that ndani ya siku 60 tunataka kuwa na mazungumzo, and he called it national dialogue. Remember that time of Baba Waliwawe?
Yes.
A lot of things were reported to him. And of course, the 60 days went, and it was Sabasaba again. A meeting was held, nothing much. But out of all those conversations, there was the Joint Parliamentary Select Committee that reviewed the IEBC as a commission, right, and reduced the commissioners from 9 to 7 to what we have today. And after that, the process birthed the Wafula Chebukati Commission. Then come 2017, 2018, after the disputed election, there was the People's Assemblies. that were going around the country collecting views or whatever that was, and ended up coming up with a position that we do not recognize the Wafula Chebukati Commission. They must go. Of course, they never left. Some resigned. Then come 2022, 2023, there's the call again, people's barazas, having conversations about the same issues. They're actually, they've been predominant across all those seasons: IEBC, unemployment, corruption, and cost of living. This time round, to what end?
Well, I thank you very much, Sam, and I'm glad that watching my friend Koech speak, Honorable Koech, the adrenaline that comes into his body, laced with anger and agitation, is a testament that we are making inroads, and I'm very happy. I would be very concerned if they were just keeping cool amidst all this. But he has exhibited a high degree of anger that now makes me feel that we are on the right trajectory.
Continue.
And right trajectory we shall. We will push this in the next 9 days. Despite all these empty rhetorics and threats about State House being a guarded area, I mean, you are guarding it against who? It is Kenyans taxpayers managing that place. And by the way, Uhuru Kenyatta's budget was 5 billion for a year in State House. Ruto's budget, which has been captured in the supplementary budget, has moved to 9 billion shillings. So I'm coming to your question.
You managed to just go away from Horavasti.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I have to build my case, Sam. And by the way, Baba has never called us to take up arms, even when you guys stole his elections in August.
I've asked you the question.
So the question is,
You lose an election every day.
what has happened? And you have given the breakdown from 2015, when Baba was in America for 3 months and came back and put in place reforms that informed a new IEBC with Isaac Hassan team leaving the stage. And the same was done in, a few days before elections, when there were people whose terms, actually resigned, and 4 commissioners had to come in place. So aside from the cost of living, which we shall fight and fight so hard until this government must come to the realization that Kenyans are suffering, and the prices will effectively come down. That I can assure you. Prices will come down. Now, they came up with a raft of measures around electoral reforms, feeding into the composition of panel of IEBC. And we are saying we are in disagreement with that panel that stemmed from the new act, the new Elections Act, which was done by Kenya Kwanza.
The IEBC Amendments Act.
Yes, which was done in Parliament.
Correct.
By Kenya Kwanza.
The Parliament?
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, in Parliament we debate. You are either pro or against. We were against, but they pushed their numbers and got what they wanted. So what we are saying is, with one Chebukati, Ruto has messed up our elections. Now he has a latitude to elect 7 Chebukatis. We are not going to allow that. So part of our discussion on the raft of issues that you have indicated there, electoral purity stands at the core of our consideration. They can run around, come up with that panel, start interviews. Isaac Hassan was in office when we took him out of town. He was in office. So it doesn't matter whether they have a new team of IEBC commissioners in the next few days. They will not do 2027 elections. We have done it before. We shall do it again. So don't worry, Sam. We are going to take care of all this.
So you'll have them removed or what?
If they proceed without consultations, because, Sam, and this is quite critical, we have 2 major coalitions in this country. You have Azimio and you have Kenya Kwanza, which we do acknowledge. We are going into a round of elections in 2027 as coalitions. Well, there will be lots of, push and shove here, realignments here and there. But the major coalitions now are these 2. And these 2 must therefore sit down and choose an umpire. You're not going to give Kenya Kwanza an opportunity to choose a referee on their own. Yet we are participants in this electoral process. So we are telling them that you either listen to us now, forestall this process, have a dialogue around it, and help choose a neutral arbiter as a one unit.
I believe the last time you were here, I asked you the question, how do you have a dialogue within a process that is guided by law? In fact, by tomorrow, the president must appoint the selection panel because it's the expiry of 14 days since the declaration of vacancies. But anyway, I'll leave that to you. We'll wait to see the outcome. Let's take a look at some of the feedback that has come to us via Twitter. Citizen TV Kenya, Tam Gituku, the hashtag to use is Daybreak. Remy Butia, a shake-up in government aims to bring systemic and sustainable changes. Kenya Kwanza has to be better assembled, bigger, smarter, and politically savvy in turbocharging public service delivery, which will help transform resources into development outcomes. Engineer Lazaro, laws should be in place to protect civil servants from political witch hunt. The ongoing purge on the former regime senior officials is something that can tear the nation along the tribal lines and even affect economy and general tax collection. Rev Harry, I agree. The purge on KRA board shakeup, this will help tax collection, for they will be aligned to new administration. Let's see changes now. That's increase in tax collection. It's biblical. Mpe Kaisari ya Kaisari. Godi Baraza, Kenya Kwanza administration in its wisdom should not use the shakeup or cabinet reshuffle to settle political scores. This is the critical moment where they need everyone on board for the sake of economically salvaging the country. And Ndugu Wainaina, no, Dungu. The China Square issue brings forth the all-important national conversation on the inadequate and flawed trade policy. Does it exist in the first place? And if it does, how many Kenyans know what it says? All right. And Bob Otieno, China Square should be a win-win situation to build a healthy relationship with foreign investors, or else it may scare others who might be on the way coming with better investments. And that's your feedback on Daybreak this morning. Thank you all. Edward Muriu from Gatanga, Jared Okelo from Nyando, and Nelson Koech from Bengut, and also the chair of Defense and Foreign Relations. Thank you for making time for us to have this conversation. We take a short break. On your return, it will be Matter Sporty Monday with the team here looking at the events of the weekend, including Kakombe Kadogo, Manchester United. Bye for now. My name is Sam Gituku.